go where your best prayers take you, unclench the fists of your spirit and take it easy. Breathe deeply of the glad air and live one day at a time. Know that you are precious and learn to trust. Amen. Well, Gina had just had a baby boy at the hospital. Safe pregnancy, everything was great, and so now this new mother was getting to take her baby boy home. And when Gina arrived at the front door, she was greeted by her 4-year-old bouncing little girl, Tiffany, who was just so excited that she was jumping up and down. And Gina, right at the beginning, bent over, opened the blanket, and let Tiffany take a peek at her baby brother. And her little face was glowing with energy, just so excited. And then Gina looked at her little girl and looked at her baby, and then she exploded into tears. And Tiffany said, "Mommy, why are you crying?" And Gina kind of stammered out, who is going to be able to make your peanut butter sandwiches for your lunch while I take care of your baby brother?" And Tiffany said boldly, "Daddy will." So why was Gina crying? Why was Gina crying? Well, one writer, a female and a mom herself, says that she suffers the designated worrier syndrome of all mothers. Mothers worry about their children from the get-go. And dads do too, but moms, well, they're better at it. It's deeper and more abiding about everything. And they practice it forever. So if you're 50 and your mom is 80, she's still worrying about you. You see, the worry is a natural extension, though, of something even deeper, and we know that's what it is. And it begins in pregnancy. The medical evidence is really clear that there is great biological change that happens in the mom, in the levels of oxytocin and estrogen, which lead then to a strong neurological shift that creates attachment. Deep, deep attachment. So much attachment that there's no way to explain it and understand it. And it's an attachment that lasts a lifetime. And that's why moms worry about so much and feel so much and care so much about their children. I think it's an attachment that is passed on from mothers to daughters. Maybe that too is biological. Because I've witnessed this mothering instinct, and say that without any kind of put down, but great admiration actually in women who have not been a biological mother, but who are every bit as fierce, loving, constant, and aware as other mothers. I've witnessed it in mothers who have taken on children, taken in children, and I bet you have too. I've seen it in almost every woman I've ever known. So it's Mother's Day, obviously, and a day for us to slow down and stop and to be thankful for our mothers. That simple. And to be thankful for all the women who have mothered us, because most of us, it's many. And you know, here in this place of worship, we remind ourselves that this deep attachment may be one of the most powerful expressions in humanity. There may be nothing stronger. I don't know of anything stronger. That someone is attached to us, loves us, cares for us, worries over us all the time for a lifetime. It is beyond comprehension. Is there anything stronger in the world? Anything. I have a Fred Craddock story for you, and if you don't remember Fred, he is probably, I think, the greatest American preacher that has ever been. When he was a little boy growing up in rural West Tennessee, his family owned a farm, but they lost the farm to the bank. They had to give up the land. His dad lost his job, and they had to move to town and moved into a tiny little house on a dirt road, as he said, on the south side of the tracks. They moved to the poor side of town. His dad found a job, thankfully, and over time things got better. But at this point in their lives, they had no running water, no electricity, and no indoor plumbing. Dad was working, things were kind of stable, but Fred's older sister was in the 9th grade. What do you think that does for a 9th grader? She's in the same school that she was in before. And now they have nothing, and she's still with the friends that she had. And remember, she's struggling with all the things teenagers struggle with. The clothes she's wearing, how she looks, how she compares herself to others. And these circumstances have only made her life worse. She is all going through that fitting in stuff in the worst kind of way. First week goes okay, second week goes okay, but she is barely making it. And the third week, well, an invitation comes in the mail to her house. And it's a special invitation from one of her good friends in her class. And it's for a slumber party. Sounds a little antiquated, doesn't it? But a sleepover. And this little girl's dad, this young girl's dad, was the richest man in town, and they had the biggest house on Main Street. Fred says that his mother, his sister, when she was in her 90s, still talked about getting that invitation. She still talked about how much it meant to her that she was still wanted, still needed by a friend and a group of friends. And listen to Fred's fabulous comment about that family story. He says this: if you are prosperous and exclude the poor, and if you are poor and exclude the prosperous, you have the right to do that. But that's not the church. Do you see, Mother's Day fits directly into what we are about here today, and I believe what we're about here every day at St. John's and every Christian church throughout the world. Did you hear the words from the Gospel of John? Write them down. As the old prayer book says, read, mark, and inwardly digest them. Teach them to your children. Print them on your forehead if you have to. You did not choose me, but I chose you, God says. You did not choose me, I chose you. Today we're reminded of the heart of God, the heart that loves us first. Not by what we do, not by what we've earned, not by our station in life or lack of, nothing, no circumstances. The heart that loves us. See, that's why we talk about the church as a place that includes. Inclusion is not some newfangled 21st century liberal theological idea in the mouths of some people who don't have something better to do. Inclusion is at the heart of who we are. It is the heart of our calling. It is the heart of the mission of the church. Now, then, forever. It is what we are about. You know, I don't know about you, but I don't think there is anything stronger, anything in the world stronger than knowing you have been chosen. Nothing stronger than knowing you have been chosen and you are wanted. And so I want to tell you a story that happened a couple of weeks ago. A family across town was gathered in front of their television to watch the NFL draft, the National Football League draft. And do you know how that works? Each of the pro football teams drafts a player all the way through. That's the first round. Then they start again, second round all the way through. And so these young men who have spent their lives, their early lives, honing their skills, working hard, being coached, having their families coach them, live with them through all this, are on this bubble waiting to be picked for their dream, to play pro football. Well, the first round went by, and the second round went by, and the third round went by, and the fourth round went by, and on the fifth round, the phone rang. And one of our own, Davis Tull, that many of you know, was picked to play pro football. And the phone came from the New Orleans Saints. He went off to college. I remember him when he was a little boy. He is now a very big man, very fast big man. But I can't imagine what the thrill has been for Sally Gouffon, the grandmom, Amy and Tim, Dad and Mom, stepdad Henry, everybody else, the grandparents, his brother, his cousins. I can't imagine how they are celebrating the work and dedication of his, but also of theirs. But I want to tell you the story, Grandmom Sally, because this is her sermon today, the best story I think I've ever heard. They were in one room. Davis is in another room. The phone rings. One of the honchos from the team calls. So then he comes through the door, and they are all waiting on him. So he comes through the door, and she said he had this massive smile on his face. And he says, "They chose me. The saints chose me." There is nothing stronger in life than being chosen. And you know, Davis's words on that occasion are our words on this occasion. And I think we could say them every week we gather. You see, we're gathered with the saints. All of us, those little saints. All of us baptized people, but saints just the same. And we're here because God chooses us. We are here because God chooses us. The church chooses us. And then we began to choose the world as part of the church. That's the way it works. That's the way it's always worked. That's the way we hope it will continue to work. And so this morning we bring Blake and Natalie and Meyer with their families. And we do this ancient, simple ritual of water and a few words and ask them to be part of this stuff we're about. You see, God has chosen them from the beginning. God chooses us from the beginning and throughout life and at the end of life. And then the church, see, they're being invited into what we are invited into, this community of God, trying to practice in the world what God is and who God is. You realize that's what we're to do. We don't come here to be comfortable about how we are. We come here so that we take God out there to a world that needs God desperately. You will meet someone today who needs to hear what you have heard, have received, and what you live. See, the church is a place, very simply, of mothering. It's not a one-time occasion. Mothering's at the heart of who we are. See, it's a mother church where you are known, where you are wanted, where you are loved, where you are accepted for who you are. A family where your contributions are valued, where you matter when you are here. A place you are always welcome, even if you leave badly, poorly, disgruntled, and angry. You are always welcome back. Open arms, no questions. You know why? Because you always belong. You belonged at the beginning. You belong forever. I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to be chosen. When I was very small, I always wanted to be chosen. And do you know what? Every one of you have always wanted to be chosen. Every person you meet wants to be chosen. And it's here that we learn to live through and in the heart of God that chooses us. You see, that's what we are about. So I invite you today to come to the altar after this baptism. Take bread and wine. Relax and enjoy and sense the abundance of God's love and acceptance because He has chosen you. And then maybe with some courage, because I promise you in this world it will take your moral fiber and courage to do this, to go out and choose others. People that you would not choose. People that you would not see. People that you do not know. It takes courage to practice this kind of care for a world that needs the care. Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers. And happy Mother's Day to all of you who have been a mother for someone who needed you. Amen.